What if there was a part of your body that slowly grew larger every day without pain, without fever, without stopping you from going to work, yet it could still rob you of your sleep, cause you to pee constantly, lower your libido, and eventually force you to depend on a catheter in your old age? Would you want to know what it is? It's not your liver. It's not your heart. It's not your brain. It's your prostate. A small gland, about the size of a walnut, sitting right beneath your bladder, wrapped around your urethra, and yet, if left unchecked, it can quietly wreck your rhythm of life, your intimacy, and even your sense of dignity after 60. Have you ever had nights like this? You sleep for 2 hours, then wake up with an urge, I need to pee. You drag yourself to the bathroom, stand there, and wait. A week stream. Just a trickle. And it never feels like you're really done. You go back to bed. Toss and turn. Then up again at 3 a.m. Then again at 4:30. By morning, your body feels drained, your head throbs, your eyes burn, your memory is slow, your heart's racing. You think it's just old age insomnia? I'm here to tell you, it's not. It's one of the classic signs of an enlarging prostate. According to Harvard Health, over 50% of men in their 60s already show signs of benign prostatic hyperplasia or BPH. By age 85, that number jumps to 90%. But here's the real danger, most men don't even realize they have it. Because the prostate doesn't hurt. It doesn't cause a fever. It just grows quietly day by day, until one night you wake up at 1 a.m. Then again at 3 a.m. Then you start avoiding road trips because you don't know where the nearest restroom is. I once had a patient, John, 69 years old. Disciplined man. Ate clean. Slept early. Didn't smoke. Walked every morning. He came to me not for prostate problems, but for chronic insomnia. The ultrasound showed his prostate had grown to 2.3 times its normal size. It was pressing against his bladder, making it impossible for him to hold urine for more than 2 hours. He looked at me and said, I never thought about my prostate. I didn't feel any pain. And I told him what I want to tell you today. The prostate doesn't hurt. But it can still silently destroy your peace of mind. Have you ever felt like you couldn't empty your bladder completely? Or finished peeing but still felt the urge to go again? Or noticed a slow drip after urinating? These aren't minor annoyances. These are your body saying, pay attention to me. And you're not alone. But here's what you need to understand, an enlarged prostate is not just a part of aging. According to Urology Times, over 68% of BPH cases are linked to lifestyle habits that have lasted over 10 years, like diets heavy in red meat, long periods of sitting, poor hydration, or chronic stress. It's not genetics. Not bad luck. It's the result of small habits you repeat every single day. And that's important because if it's caused by habits, you can change them. You don't need medication right away. You don't need surgery. What you need to know is which habits are causing DHT, the hormone that stimulates prostate tissue growth, to rise. Which habits are causing chronic inflammation, making the tissue stiff and inflamed. Which habits are creating physical pressure in the pelvis, leading to urine retention. And which habits are blocking blood flow, starving your prostate of oxygen and nutrients. That's exactly what I'm going to help you uncover through 12 real-world habits, divided into 6 root causes, based on the core biological mechanisms behind BPH. Each habit won't just be a warning, it will be an opportunity to understand, to shift, and to reverse the damage before it's too late. If you see yourself in John's story, or if your nights are getting shorter and your sleep more broken, don't be so quick to blame just getting older. Aging is inevitable. But an enlarged prostate? That's something you can manage if you start at the right time. And that time is now. 2 habits that raise DHT and quietly trigger prostate enlargement. Did you know that DHT, dihydrotestosterone, is the invisible ringleader behind prostate enlargement? According to researchers at the University of North Carolina, DHT stimulates abnormal prostate cell growth up to 10 times more than testosterone by binding to intracellular receptors and activating mitogenic genes. PubMed, Wikipedia. Here's the catch: even though testosterone levels decline with age, DHT in prostate tissue stays stable or even increases thanks to heightened activity of the enzyme 5-alpha reductase type 2, AUA, Wikipedia. This is the golden mechanism behind why your prostate can silently grow over time without pain, without fever, without any clear signal. White heavy checkmark habit number 12, drinking too much caffeine or stimulants late in the day. Are you someone who enjoys a strong cup of coffee, black tea, or an energy drink around 4 to 6 p.m. to stay sharp through the evening? What seems harmless could be quietly raising your DHT levels. Caffeine increases cortisol, your stress hormone, which then activates 5-alpha reductase, the enzyme that converts testosterone into DHT, Mayo Clinic, Verywell Health, PubMed, AUA. One of my patients, Frank, age 66, shared. I usually have 2 cups of coffee in the late afternoon to help me stay focused until 10 p.m. I didn't think it was a big deal. But within a few months, he started waking up 3 to 4 times a night to pee. The stream was weak. He felt like he could never empty his bladder. PSA levels were normal, but hormone tests revealed low testosterone, high cortisol, and mild prostate inflammation. I suggested he cut back on caffeine or switch his evening drink, and within 3 weeks, his nighttime trips dropped significantly and he was sleeping better. Do you see yourself in Frank's shoes? If DHT is a major driver of prostate growth, then cutting back on late-day caffeine might be one of the easiest ways to protect your prostate without medication. White heavy checkmark habit number 11, staying up late watching TV or scrolling news all night. Maybe you've told yourself, one late night won't hurt. But repeat that a few times a week, and your body starts to suffer. Sleep deprivation raises cortisol, lowers testosterone, and creates the perfect storm for 5-alpha reductase to produce more DHT, AUA, PMC. Take Robert, age 70. He stayed up until 1 or 2 a.m. almost every night, watching cable news. Within a few months, he noticed his nightly urination increased. Hormone analysis revealed his testosterone dropped by 15%, cortisol was elevated, and there was mild tissue inflammation in the prostate. By simply shifting his bedtime earlier and adding more zinc and lycopene-rich veggies to his meals, his symptoms improved in just 6 weeks. Here's the bottom line. Even if you're not taking meds like finasteride or dutasteride, poor sleep and stress alone can spike your DHT levels and quietly make your prostate swell. These 2 habits, afternoon caffeine and late-night screen time, might seem unrelated. But both are closely linked to your body's hormonal pathway. Cortisol rightward arrow, 5-alpha reductase rightward arrow, DHT rightward arrow, prostate cell overgrowth. The good news is, you don't need pills to start lowering DHT. By adjusting your caffeine habits, getting deeper sleep, and supporting your hormone balance naturally, you can stop prostate growth before it becomes a medical issue. Yes, drugs like finasteride and dutasteride can reduce DHT by 70 to 90% and shrink the prostate by 20 to 30% within a few months, PubMed, Verywell Health. But real prevention? That starts with small, sustainable changes in your daily routine long before you need a prescription. So let me ask you this. Do you recognize yourself in either of these habits? If so, you may have just uncovered a hidden gap in your prostate defense plan, one that millions of men ignore until it's too late. These 2 habits, number 12 and 11 in our countdown, mark the beginning of the journey toward prostate enlargement. A journey that starts not with symptoms, but with hormones, and small choices you make every day. Whether your prostate keeps growing or settles down depends on what you choose to do next. 2 silent habits that trigger chronic inflammation and prostate enlargement. Let me ask you to imagine something. A tiny area inside your prostate is being mildly irritated day after day, year after year. Not enough to cause sharp pain. Not enough to land you in a hospital. But just enough to keep the fire of low-grade inflammation quietly smoldering. Over time, immune cells like macrophages and neutrophils begin to infiltrate the prostate tissue, releasing inflammatory signals like IL-6 and TNF-alpha. Slowly, this transforms into chronic inflammation, thickening the gland walls, causing fibrotic changes, and narrowing the urinary flow. According to the Cleveland Clinic, more than 80% of men with enlarged prostates show signs of mild or chronic inflammation, yet most go undiagnosed because there's no pain. But make no mistake, painless inflammation is still inflammation. And it often stems from 2 extremely common habits after age 60. White heavy checkmark habit number 10, eating lots of red meat, fried foods, and skipping vegetables. Have you ever sat down to a hearty plate of grilled steak, bacon, or pot roast, but skipped the vegetables? If so, you're far from alone. In the US, CDC surveys show that over 90% of men above 60 eat fewer vegetables than recommended, while regularly consuming processed meats, deep-fried foods, and saturated fats. Why is this dangerous for your prostate? Because saturated fats, oxidized lipids, and ages, advanced glycation end products, from high heat cooking like frying, grilling, and broiling are known to spark chronic inflammation not just in the arteries, but also in the delicate cells of the prostate. These compounds activate inflammatory genes like NF-kappa B and COX-2, encouraging white blood cells to enter the gland and trigger abnormal tissue growth. I recall a patient Vincent, age 71, who worked as a barbecue chef for decades. He loved smoked meats and rarely ate greens. He also skipped breakfast and drank little water. When he came in complaining of pelvic discomfort and urinating 5 times each night, his scan showed an enlarged prostate nearly 90% bigger than average. PSA levels were slightly elevated. We changed his diet, replaced red meat with fish, added leafy greens, flaxseed, and olive oil. Within 8 weeks, his symptoms dramatically improved. Here's the real takeaway. A plate full of meat with no vegetables may be feeding a fire inside your prostate every single day. White heavy checkmark. Habit number 9, drinking too little water and lacking antioxidants. Have you ever thought, maybe I'll drink less water, so I don't have to get up and pee at night? Sounds logical, but science says otherwise. When you're underhydrated, your urine becomes more concentrated and acidic, irritating the bladder and the prostate right beneath it. Not only that, dehydration prevents your body from flushing out ROS, reactive oxygen species, toxic free radicals that damage prostate cells, alter DNA, and create a loop of oxidative inflammation. Ever catch yourself drinking less than 1 liter of water a day? Sipping coffee and iced tea, but barely touching pure water? That's what I call a prostate drought. Your tissues are drying out. There's no water to wash away toxins. No vitamins like C, E, or selenium to neutralize free radicals and cool the inflammation. A study from Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health found that men who drank less than 1.5 liters per day had a 27% higher risk of developing prostate inflammation compared to those who drank 2 to 2.5 liters. Add in a low antioxidant diet, and that risk more than doubles. Let's be real. Chronic inflammation is a silent arsonist. It doesn't come from germs. It comes from choices, small habits that seem harmless. A day without veggies. A week without fruit. A month of greasy dinners. A year of mild dehydration. And suddenly, you're waking up 4 times a night to pee, wondering what went wrong. The good news? Chronic inflammation is reversible. Start here. Add 1 serving of vegetables to every meal. Drink an extra glass of water every hour. Use olive oil instead of margarine. Stay far away from burnt or charred meats. These small shifts are like pouring water on that silent fire inside, giving your prostate the space it needs to breathe, recover, and function properly. Physical pressure, 2 daily habits that silently crush your prostate. Habit number 8, sitting too long every day. Do you sit more than 6 hours a day? It might be your favorite chair, your cozy living room recliner, your car seat, or your old office chair. But that very seat could be putting constant pressure on your prostate. You see, the prostate is located deep in the pelvic floor, right beneath the bladder and in front of the rectum. When you sit for extended periods, especially without shifting positions, the pressure builds up on the perineum, the area filled with tiny blood vessels that nourish the prostate. That pressure leads to reduced blood flow and low oxygen levels, a condition called hypoxia. Over time, prostate cells begin to produce more free radicals, flush out waste less efficiently, and activate inflammatory responses that cause swelling. A 2020 study in the European Urology Journal found that men who sit for more than 6 hours daily are 32% more likely to develop prostate enlargement than those who sit less than 3 hours. It doesn't end there. A sedentary lifestyle also weakens the pelvic floor muscles, the very muscles that help you control your urine stream and support your bladder. When these muscles weaken, your urethra gets compressed, the urine flow weakens, and you end up straining to pee, adding even more pressure on the prostate. I remember a patient named Leland, 74, a retired accountant. He spent most of his days doing Sudoku and watching the news from his recliner. After 2 years of this routine, he began experiencing urinary urgency, dribbling, and even episodes of urinary retention. An MRI revealed that his prostate had enlarged enough to block the bladder neck. We adjusted his routine. He started standing every 30 minutes, took light morning walks, and within 3 months, his symptoms greatly improved without medication. If you're sitting right now watching this video, let this be your reminder. Stand up. Take a few steps. Your prostate will thank you. Habit number 7, Exercising the wrong way, especially heavy lifting involving the lower abdomen. Exercise is essential. But after 60, not all workouts are prostate friendly. One of the most common mistakes? Lifting heavy weights or performing exercises that sharply increase abdominal pressure like deadlifts, leg presses, or improperly performed crunches. These moves force blood into the pelvic floor, compressing the prostate physically like a vice. According to the Cleveland Clinic, exercises that increase intra-abdominal pressure can worsen symptoms of BPH, especially in men whose prostate tissue has become fibrotic and less elastic with age. Have you ever caught yourself holding your breath while lifting something heavy? That's the Valsalva maneuver, a reflex that spikes pressure in the abdomen and pelvic veins, reducing blood flow out of the prostate and causing temporary congestion. Over time, this can lead to vein dilation, swelling, and abnormal tissue growth. Other movements like long-distance cycling, rowing machines, or improperly done crunches can directly irritate the prostate, especially if you're sitting on a narrow, hard bike saddle or wearing tight-fitting underwear. I once treated a 66-year-old man who biked 10 kilometers every morning. He was dedicated but used a hard, narrow racing saddle with no padding. His prostate became inflamed, his PSA rose slightly, and he started experiencing intermittent urination. When we switched him to a wider, padded seat and cut his ride time to 30 minutes, his symptoms eased dramatically. Let's make something clear. Not all movement is good. Sitting too long? Harmful. Moving the wrong way? Also harmful. Your prostate is a sensitive organ. It doesn't like being squished. It doesn't like pressure. And it especially hates constant heat and friction. So if you want to protect it, sit less, stand more. Use cushions when you sit for long periods. Exercise with proper technique. Never hold your breath when lifting. Stay away from narrow, unpadded bike seats. These are simple steps. But they release your prostate from the invisible burden of physical compression. A pressure you can't see. But your prostate feels it every day. 2 habits that silently choke your pelvic blood flow and starve your prostate. Imagine a small garden tucked beneath the eaves, rarely getting sunlight, rarely watered, the soil hard and dry. No matter how hardy the plant, without light and nourishment, it will wither. Your prostate is no different. When blood flow in the pelvic region is poor due to daily habits or chronic conditions, the prostate becomes starved of oxygen and nutrients. Over time, it becomes more vulnerable to inflammation, overgrowth, and degeneration. Habit number 6, smoking or being around second-hand smoke. We all know smoking damages the lungs. But few realize that nicotine and toxic compounds in smoke also destroy the tiny capillaries that supply the prostate. According to Harvard Men's Health Watch, tobacco smoke lowers endothelial nitric oxide, eNOS, the compound that relaxes blood vessels. Without it, the microvessels surrounding the prostate constrict, reducing oxygen delivery and causing local tissue damage. A 2019 study from Denmark involving over 5,000 men found that smokers had a 37% higher risk of BPH, and even passive smokers, those living with smokers, had a 20% increased risk of prostate enlargement compared to those in smoke-free environments. Have you ever sat through a family gathering or party with someone puffing nearby? Even if you didn't inhale directly, your prostate did, and the damage lingers far longer than the smoke. But that's not all. Nicotine also boosts catecholamine release, leading to general vasoconstriction, higher blood pressure, and a tightening of the bladder neck. If you already have an enlarged prostate, this makes urination even more difficult. I recall a patient, Walter, 68. He quit smoking 5 years ago, but his wife still smoked indoors. His PSA levels were stable, yet his prostate size remained unchanged. After they finally removed smoke exposure from their home and added light daily walks, his follow-up ultrasound showed healthier prostate tissue and smoother urine flow. He no longer had to wake up 3 times a night. Habit number 5, regular alcohol use, even just 1 to 2 drinks a night. 1 glass of wine in the evening might seem harmless. But after 60, and especially when your prostate starts to age, this seemingly innocent ritual could be doing more harm than good. Alcohol causes blood vessels to dilate briefly, but over time, it weakens vessel walls, increases capillary permeability, and causes tissue swelling. Ethanol also interferes with the absorption of B vitamins, especially B6, B12, and folate, which are crucial for maintaining healthy prostate metabolism. According to the Cleveland Clinic, consuming more than 7 units of alcohol per week, about 1 beer per day, increases the risk of urinary dysfunction in men with BPH by up to 28%. Even worse, acetaldehyde, a toxic byproduct of alcohol metabolism, is directly harmful to prostate cells. Have you ever woken up after a night of drinks feeling like you still needed to pee? That's often the prostate reacting to alcohol's toxic effects, combined with mild tissue swelling and bladder irritation. You don't need to quit drinking entirely. But if you're experiencing nighttime urination or early signs of BPH, cutting back could dramatically improve your prostate's circulation and reduce inflammation. Let's sum it up. Your prostate has no filter for toxins. It relies entirely on healthy, consistent blood flow to stay nourished and clear out waste. But these two habits, smoking and regular alcohol use, quietly strangle that flow, harden the vessels, and leave your prostate to slowly wither. If you want to give it a fighting chance, avoid cigarette smoke entirely, even secondhand. Reduce alcohol to less than 3 drinks per week. Eat more folate-rich, antioxidant-packed foods like spinach, kale, and blueberries. Consider circulation-boosting herbs like ginger, garlic, and turmeric, with your doctor's approval. Only when blood flow is restored, can the prostate truly begin to heal. 2 daily habits that silently disrupt your hormones and fuel prostate growth. Have you ever wondered why some men in their 70s can still urinate with ease, sleep through the night, and function normally, while others begin experiencing urgency, weak stream, or nighttime trips to the bathroom by their 60s? One of the biggest reasons lies in a delicate hormonal balance, specifically between testosterone and DHT, dihydrotestosterone, the 2 hormones that directly shape prostate health. Habit number 4, overconsumption of refined sugar and ultra-processed foods. A sweet breakfast pastry, a glass of store-bought juice, a ham sandwich, and a can of soda for lunch. Sound familiar? This isn't just about calories. It's about the metabolic storm that follows: blood sugar spikes, insulin surges, low-grade inflammation, and yes, direct consequences for the prostate. A 2018 study published in the Prostate found that high sugar, high refined carb diets significantly raise the risk of BPH through 2 key mechanisms. 1. Increased insulin resistance, which drives more testosterone to convert into DHT, fueling abnormal prostate growth. 2. Chronic low-grade inflammation, which triggers immune cells to invade and damage prostate tissue, leading to fibrosis and loss of elasticity. According to Harvard Health, 2021, men who consumed over 50 grams of added sugar daily had a 38% higher risk of developing BPH compared to those consuming under 25 grams. Refined sugar also depletes key nutrients like magnesium, zinc, and vitamin D, all critical to healthy testosterone levels. I recall a 64-year-old patient who exercised regularly and avoided fatty foods. Yet, he had significant prostate enlargement. Upon reviewing his diet, we discovered he added 4 teaspoons of sugar daily to his coffee and had dessert at nearly every meal. After cutting his sugar intake and increasing zinc-rich foods like pumpkin seeds and cashews, his symptoms improved significantly within 4 months. Habit number 3, chronic sleep deprivation and disrupted circadian rhythm. Sleep is when your body resets, but after 60, it also becomes the key time for hormone production, especially testosterone. Both Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic report that sleep loss leads to a sharp drop in natural testosterone, disrupting the hormonal signals that regulate prostate cell growth. When testosterone falls while DHT remains stable or even rises, that ratio imbalance is exactly what accelerates prostate enlargement. Sleep deprivation also raises cortisol, the body's stress hormone. Prolonged high cortisol suppresses the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal, HPG, axis, further reducing testosterone and contributing to prostate inflammation. Ever woken up at 2 or 3 a.m. with a sudden need to urinate? A study in Sleep Medicine Reviews showed that chronic insomnia increases nocturia frequency by 1.6 times even when prostate size remains unchanged. Why? Because deep sleep is when your body produces the hormone that reduces urine production at night. No deep sleep equals no protection. The answer isn't sleeping pills. It's fixing the root of the rhythm. Avoid screens 60 minutes before bed. Try a cup of chamomile tea or warm milk. Keep your bedroom completely dark and cool, around 66 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Practice deep breathing or light meditation before bed. In fact, a University of Chicago study found that just 3 weeks of consistent 7-hour sleep increased morning testosterone levels by 12 to 15%. Here's the deeper truth. Your prostate doesn't just enlarge out of nowhere. It responds to what's happening beneath the surface, from inflammation to hormone conversion, from metabolic dysfunction to disrupted biological rhythms. These two seemingly harmless habits, sugar overload and poor sleep, are like silent triggers, shifting your hormonal balance inch by inch, day by day. You can't see hormonal changes, but your prostate feels every one of them. If you've been feeling fatigued, craving sweets, or waking up groggy every morning, it's time to take notice. Not just to protect your prostate from BPH, but to bring your entire neurohormonal immune system back into balance. The two most destructive habits damaging your prostate silently. Habit number 2, failing to manage chronic stress. I once asked a 72-year-old patient who came in with urinary frequency, nighttime urgency, and a weak stream, "Are you under any stress?" He chuckled, "Stress? That's for younger folks. I'm retired. No work pressure anymore." But as we talked more, he shared that his wife had dementia. His children rarely visited. Money was tight. He couldn't sleep well because he worried too much. And that's when I realized, stress isn't always loud. Sometimes, it simmers quietly, day after day, deep inside. According to Harvard Health Publishing, chronic stress triggers excessive cortisol, a hormone that increases inflammation and suppresses testosterone production. This hormonal imbalance stimulates prostate cell growth. Even worse, stress activates the sympathetic nervous system, causing the smooth muscles around the bladder and prostate to contract more frequently. This leads to pseudo-BPH symptoms like urgency, dribbling, and difficulty holding urine. But when this tension becomes long-term, the prostate tissue actually begins to enlarge due to constant overstimulation. A 2020 study in psychoneuroendocrinology found that men with high stress scores had a 2.3 times greater risk of prostate enlargement regardless of age or PSA levels. The sad truth? Very few men connect emotional health with their prostate. They reach for medication or herbal supplements, cut back on water, but almost never pause to reflect on their inner state. Do you often feel anxious, even when sitting quietly in your own room? Do you struggle to truly relax? Your body may be trying to tell you it's overwhelmed. Here's a simple starting point. Each morning, spend 10 minutes doing the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Laugh more. Really. Laughter reduces cortisol and increases oxytocin, a calming hormone for your nervous system. You can't eliminate stress completely, but you can take charge of it. And when your mind releases the pressure, your prostate will finally get a chance to breathe too. Habit number 1, ignoring early symptoms and delaying regular prostate check. UPS. In over 20 years working with middle-aged and older men, one truth stands out. Silence destroys health more than any disease ever will. Many men only discover they have stage 3 prostate enlargement with urethral compression and potential chronic retention because they ignored the early signs. They assumed peeing more is just part of getting old, or they felt embarrassed to get checked, or simply waited until it's really bad. But according to the American Urological Association, all men over 50 and especially after 60 should get their prostate checked at least once a year, including a DRE, digital rectal exam, a PSA test, prostate-specific antigen, ultrasound of the abdomen or urethra if symptoms are present. The Cleveland Clinic Journal of Medicine, 2021, reports that routine screening can detect early-stage BPH up to 45% more often than waiting for symptoms to become severe. And here's the good news, when caught early, you may not need medication or surgery. Simple changes, anti-inflammatory diet, pelvic floor exercises, better sleep, and stress reduction can reverse BPH in its early stages. I often tell my patients, the greatest secret isn't the perfect medication, it's the courage to face something when it's still small. Are you peeing more after 9 p.m.? Noticing a weaker stream? Still feeling like you haven't fully emptied your bladder? These signs shouldn't be ignored. Not because they're scary, but because they're your body's invitation to take action. Your prostate doesn't have a voice. But you do. And whether you choose to stay silent or take control will define the quality of your life for the next 10 years. If you've made it this far, I want to pause for a moment and thank you sincerely. Not everyone takes the time, the care, or the patience to sit down, reflect, and listen deeply to their own health, especially when it comes to something often overlooked, the prostate. But you did. You stayed. You reflected. And perhaps, you've come to realize something important. Health doesn't come from miracles. It comes from the little things done consistently. A sip of water at the right time. A night of deep, uninterrupted sleep. A moment to stand up and stretch after sitting too long. A meal that's just a little less salty, a little less spicy. A slow breath to calm your racing heart. Or simply, making that doctor's appointment instead of waiting and hoping it'll go away. Together, we've walked through 12 daily habits that silently harm the prostate, some seemingly harmless, others deeply connected to hormones, the nervous system, and immune function. And what do they all have in common? They begin with inattention. And if left unchecked, they end in slow, silent decline. But today, you're no longer unaware. You're informed. You're awake. And most importantly, you have the power to choose differently. I don't expect you to change all 12 habits in 1 week. But I strongly encourage you to start with just one today. Maybe it's placing a water bottle by your bed so you stay hydrated. Maybe it's setting a reminder in your phone to book that prostate checkup. Or simply taking 10 minutes each day to sit quietly, breathe deeply, and listen to your body instead of rushing through life and forgetting yourself in the process. Ask yourself this. If a man could age without prostate problems. If he didn't have to wake up 3 to 4 times a night to pee. If he didn't carry the stress or fear of prostate issues. What would his life look like? Happier. More energetic. More connected to his family. Don't you deserve that kind of life? I believe you do. If this video resonated with you, leave a comment below and tell me what's on your mind. Have you ever dealt with prostate issues? Have you tried changing a habit and did it help? I and the Vigor Without Age community would love to hear your story. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe, share it with a friend, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss upcoming topics from joint health, heart and memory support, better sleep, to living vibrantly from the inside out. Start today before your body reminds you with symptoms you can't ignore. And if your symptoms don't improve, don't hesitate. Speak with a medical professional. I wish you my companion on this journey. Strong health, clear thinking, a peaceful spirit, joyful family connections. And all the best life has to offer after 60. See you in the next video.